Let's get started. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Bruce. Bruce Coping is an information security professional with over 25 years industry experience in information technology and cybersecurity. He's currently the Chief Information Security Officer for the City of Chicago. Prior to joining the City of Chicago, Mr. Coping held information security positions at Bank of America and at consulting firm Accenture. Mr. Coping holds the Certified Information System Security Professional CISSP certification. Without further ado, let's welcome Bruce.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to present with you today. Can you hear me?
Yes, students, I'm going to unmute your mics right now. So if you can go ahead and introduce yourself and then mute yourself, that'd be great.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it'd be great if folks would take an opportunity to introduce themselves. Here, let me get through my. Let me make sure I'm great. So yeah, so what I want to cover today is, as the title suggests, challenges and rewards of working in the public sector within cybersecurity, and some tips on building a successful career, whether it's in the cyberspace or otherwise. So a little bit about myself. I graduated from Purdue University in 1994 with a degree in computer information systems. That was in the Department of Computer Science. There were kind of two paths you could take. You could go down the core CS path and essentially wind up with a math minor, or you could go down core CS courses and wind up with a business minor. So I took the business minor path. After that, I wound up at Anderson Consulting out of college, which turned into Accenture. Spent 12 plus years there before there was a security practice, doing network solutions, and then moved into the security practice, and then eventually ran and managed business alliances for the security practice for Accenture. After that, I went to what became Bank of America. It was ABN AMRO, North America, which is a Dutch bank which owned LaSalle Bank locally, being the program manager for what was it? It's basically the security practice. I forget the acronym we used. And then LaSalle was acquired by Bank of America and had numerous roles in the global information security practice at Bank of America. For the last 18 months, I've been the Chief Information Security Officer for the City of Chicago. I have a small team here in Chicago. We work closely with our IT service provider in providing security services to the organization. So what I'd like to do is have folks on the call introduce themselves, what degree you're pursuing, your area of interest within cyber, and what you envision doing after your studies are complete here at Purdue.
I guess I'll start. My name is Jack Zimmer. I am a junior cybersecurity major at the Polytechnic School. I have an interest in offensive security, specifically offensive network security and offensive wireless security. And I help run the CTF team at Purdue called Boilers. In the future, I want to work initially in more of a red team security role and just do security testing for companies, and then I want to move into a more long-term security administration role in the future.
Okay, fantastic. Great to meet you.
I guess I can go next. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm Ryan Hennessy, also a junior undergrad, and I'm trying to get a computer science degree. I'm also one of the CTF club officers of Boilers, and I'm interested in security. Red team is always cool, but still trying to figure out what exactly I want to do.
Okay, fantastic.
So I'll head next if you guys don't mind. My name is Vijay, and I'm currently pursuing a PhD in information security and assurance here at Purdue. And as Bruce, I noticed that you mentioned you worked in Accenture. I worked for around 18 months in Accenture as a full stack developer as well. So actually, I have a question for you. Did you work in ASOC? I know Accenture takes their security seriously.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Did you work in ASOC, the Accenture Security Operations Center, in a sort of management role?
So I left Accenture in 2005.
Okay.
So, you know, obviously a lot has changed over there since then. And
right.
it's grown a great deal. So at the time, CIO, the internal organization was called CIO. And with CIO, there was the security, or the internal security team.
Oh, okay. Coincidentally, actually, I worked for CIO as well, for an internal project where the HR was the client, worked on HRMS. But it was nice knowing that. Thank you.
Welcome. Is there anybody else on the call?
They're just bashful. There's a few that I recognize that are on the call, but we'll.
All right, fair enough. Well, I just want to get a sense for who was on. If we were in the room, I'd go around and ask folks to introduce yourself. Just kind of understand who's there, what's your interest, and so if there's anything that I could particularly tailor about what I have to say, that I can do so. So I'll go ahead and jump in. So a little bit about Chicago as an organization. So the city itself is home to over 2.7 million residents. And then kind of how Chicago is broken down. Chicago is big on neighborhoods. So we've got over 100 neighborhoods. So people in Chicago kind of identify with where they live. And so people will ask, oh, well, you live in the city. Oh, you know, you live in Chicago. Oh, where in Chicago? Do you live, you know, in the city, like really in Chicago, or do you just live in a suburb? So, you know, folks that if you grew up in Chicago, you know, whether you grew up in Schaumburg or somewhere else. So, but in the city, people identify a great deal with their neighborhood. For example, I live in Lakeview. One of the interesting facts, and I'll touch upon this later, is that in order to work for the city of Chicago, you have to live in the city of Chicago. So you definitely have that community spirit of the folks that are working for the city. And then in terms of the broader urban area, it's the third largest urban area in the country. Chicago is also currently the third largest city. I say currently because Houston is fighting a great deal to take over third place. And you know, I'd argue that they've got a bit of urban sprawl there, but you know, we'll do our best to hold our own. And then some things about Chicago as a company, as a corporate entity, as an organization. So the city, in terms of the services we provide, is made up of the city core and a number of what we call sister agencies. So when you look at what my purview is from an information security standpoint is the city core. So we have sister agencies that cover public schools, that cover transportation, that cover our parks and our department of buildings. So there's some other groups that are outside of what I have purview over from a security perspective. But that leaves a lot in the core. It leaves public safety. It leaves Department of Water Management. It leaves aviation and a number of other departments. There's about 40 departments overall. So that, you know, there's a lot of information there. You've got over 35,000 employees. You've got over 12,000 vehicles. You've got over 500 buildings. Department of Aviation is the busiest airport by number of flights, which I know they go back and forth with Atlanta in terms of passengers. Atlanta seems to always eke out on top there in terms of passengers. But over 105 million passengers went through the two airports in Chicago. You've got O'Hare and you've got Midway. Then you've got another interesting department is Department of Water Management. Serves over almost 5.5 million customers, 125 municipalities, and provides water to almost half of the state of Illinois, producing over 750 million gallons of water per day. And between our two water filtration plants, we've got capacity to produce and to distribute 2 billion gallons of water a day. So our primary water treatment facility is the largest water filtration plant in the world. So you've got a lot of things going on that are very diverse. One of the comparisons I like to make or say is like in one of my first week or two on the job, I spent the morning at our water management department understanding their business requirements, and then in the afternoon, completely different end of the spectrum, spent the afternoon with our Department of Public Health and understanding what their business requirements are. So you've got a wide variety of different businesses that come together to form services that we provide to our constituents. So it's understanding those unique business needs and what security means for each of those groups and being able to provide services that meet the needs of those groups. So that's just a little bit about Chicago. What I want to cover is rewards and challenges of working in the public sector. The public sector has some things that make it different from working in the private sector. Private sector being companies that are out there. Public sector, I don't think a lot of people think about public sector maybe first in terms of career opportunities. And I want to change that a little bit. So what I want to talk about today is applying cyber to the public sector, to your municipalities, to your state government. I won't touch on federal as I don't have much experience there, but I work very closely with our state CISO and as well as our county CISO. So understanding the problems that are somewhat unique to the public sector and how they also provide opportunities that are there as well. So in terms of challenges, I think it's not saying something too out or extreme that in the government space, funding is always a challenge. We are dependent upon taxpayer dollars to produce the services that we deploy. And, as a taxpayer myself, I want my taxes to be reasonable. So the other thing is, you're very conscious of each dollar that you're spending is a taxpayer dollar. So how does that translate to what you can deliver from a cyber perspective? That means that you need to be cautious and careful about the controls that you are deploying. We follow the NIST model and work with the cybersecurity framework in terms of the services that we define and that we're offering to the rest of the organization. Since we are a public entity and NIST is, at least for the United States, is the primary governmental kind of standards body, it obviously makes sense to adhere to and follow NIST, whether that be the 853 series of 800-53 series of controls or the cybersecurity framework. Those are the things that we are modeling our program after and building controls off of. following that thread there a little bit, when it comes to funding, that challenge goes through to salaries that you're able to offer. In some cases, it's very challenging to be competitive with the private sector in terms of salaries, and things such as travel and training can get scrutinized. It's scrutinized on the private sector. I've spent time there as well for the majority of my career, but it does get a very close eye in the public sector, as really it should, because again, you're spending taxpayer dollars. So being able to work within those constraints and being able to develop services and capabilities to deliver to the rest of the organization to protect the assets, to protect your data, to protect your systems becomes critical. So that's one challenge that you see a great deal. The next challenge that I want to speak about is around transparency. So in the government space, there's a concept called the Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA. What this is legislation at the state level that says that the information that you produce really isn't yours, it's the taxpayers. So at a private organization, at a corporation, if somebody were to walk up to you and say, hey, I want to know about XYZ about your security program, you probably tell them to take a hike. But in the public sector, there are certain things that you do need to produce, to share. There are exclusions in each state's law around security. So there are opportunities that you can say, you know what, that is protected by certain exclusions in the law, but that isn't it isn't a brush that you can paint with broadly. They are very narrowly defined. So you do have to be aware of those transparency requirements as you're building your security controls, and keep in mind that people can come and ask for certain things. So again, for each state, those laws are specific. So if you're running an organization, say in Indiana versus Illinois, you're going to have different rules against which you have to play by. But those things do come into play when you're talking about the controls that you're defining for your organization. And then, but there's very specific and very tangible rewards that are involved in working in the cyberspace for public entities. So the sense of civic pride that you get with the work that you're doing. So just the fact that when you think about the services that are being provided, so you think about whether or not traffic lights are working, whether or not you think that a call to a 911 or a 311 center is going through, and that response is going to happen. That ambulance arrives where it needs to arrive. All of those things are protected by the controls that you're putting in place. So you want to make sure you've got that civic pride of saying, hey, this city is running, it's operating. And part of that, a small part of that, is the work that you're doing each and every day. Speaking of opportunity, there are lots of opportunities. So the other side of the coin of talking about challenges with resources is opportunity. There is lots of opportunity to define what it is that you're going to work on within the confines of the role that you're hired to do within that. There's lots of opportunity to demonstrate your skill set and grow what you're doing and learn new things because the environment is so diverse. So, and then speaking of that need, the need is great. So, I'm fortunate to be working in an environment in Chicago where not only do we have a very well put together IT organization, and we have a solid foundation in terms of cybersecurity and the controls that we're delivering. There are municipalities across the country that are not as fortunate in terms of that, and they have more challenges. There's more opportunities to go into a setting like that and really deliver a significant impact for those areas with the services that you provide in that role. And in so doing, you have the opportunity to build your resume, build that skill set that if you have the passion to stay in public service for a long period of time, that's fantastic. If it's something where you're looking to build that experience on your resume, that's fantastic too. Come in, do a couple of years, do 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, build the skills on your resume because there's lots of opportunities to demonstrate various skill sets. And then look to find other opportunities perhaps where there is more salary and what have you that is tied to it. So for me as a team leader, that is my goal, is to make it equally the role is equally attractive as people who have that civic passion that they want to spend a great deal of time there, but also folks who just want to come in and build some experience and then move on to other opportunities. So on the cyber side, as I said, in the things that working in the government sector, at the municipal level, will provide you that some corporate organizations will provide you such a wide, diverse set of business functions to support. I think that the government sector provides that a little more from the standpoint of you have industrial control systems, you have building control systems, you have your traditional IT, and then you have a wide variety of services that the government is providing to the constituency. And it's, as a security professional, it's being able to go in and sit down and learn what they are trying to do. What is the business that they're trying to, what is the business they're in? What are the services that they're providing? And understand what the security needs are, and then turn around and translate that into the controls that you're providing. So there are a couple of folks that talked about that they had interest in red teaming. So it's sitting down with the business and understanding the services that they're providing, the computing systems, the solutions that support those business processes, so that you can understand how to test the applications that are supporting those business processes. So whether that is an internal test, or if you're just pen testing externally without that additional knowledge, only using the knowledge that you're getting from a open source perspective, you have both of those opportunities to evaluate systems. And so again, those opportunities, I'd argue, present themselves in a fantastic way in the public sector, and you have the opportunity to come in and make a mark and really either do great good for, where you live, where you choose to spend your time, or as I said, come in, do some work, build that resume, and then look for challenges, further challenges elsewhere. So with that, I'm going to take a pause and open it up for questions. If you have any questions about the security team that we have for the city of Chicago, I didn't get into a great deal of specifics, but I am happy to answer questions about how we're set up, how we're the services that are the capabilities that we are providing to support the city of Chicago, our IT infrastructure, and how we look to provide those to the rest of the organization.
Hi, Bruce. This is Vijay again. So I have a question regarding how the government has set up in Chicago. So regarding the software and the applications that the government uses, do they like contract them off to third-party companies, like say for Accenture by itself is a IT services company? Do they contract them off to third-party companies, or do you handle the security and development of the code by the Chicago government's employees themselves?
Sure. And so the answer is both. The short answer is both. And again, I think that's part of what makes this, working where I'm working interesting. I think that a lot of, although each organization's unique, I think there's a lot of similarities across the municipal space. You get a mix of everything. So from a security practitioner perspective, you get the opportunity to hone your skills across a wide variety of situations. So you've got some solutions that are built and coded in-house. You've got some solutions that are built, coded, and maintained by third parties, and you also have a fair number of package solutions or SaaS solutions. So you get a wide variety, where and I think that provides the opportunity to test your skills and build your skills in a way that is somewhat unique.
Thank you so much.
What other questions can I answer?
I had another question. What does your day-to-day look like?
What does my day-to-day look like? Fantastic question. It's different every day, and I mean that just absolutely straightforward. So because we are a small team, I have to balance the operational with the strategic. So I spend a fair amount of my day aiding my security operations team. So our vulnerability management, our incident management, our security engineering. So whether that is responding to the latest phishing threat or things that we're seeing coming in through our various controls, whether that is helping the security operations team or our governance, risk, and compliance folks engage with the departments and bring the services that we have to bear for those departments and help be that interface between the business and the technical. It is a lot of what I do as well. And then on the strategic side, that's because when you get into kind of that firefighting mode, you get into a cadence of seeing and reacting. It's not losing sight of the strategic as well, and knowing that you've got this. It really is a long play. So there are initiatives that are going on for the quarter, for the year, multi-year initiatives, and making sure that we continue to advance the ball on those as well, because those are the things that are building new controls, new capabilities, providing additional protection for the organization. It's juggling all of that And some days it's more one than the other. But there are no 2 days that are the same. And then I'll throw out, just kind of our current situation. We are in week 5 of shelter in place for the city of Chicago. So it's either week 5 or week 6. Everything is blurring together right now. So, we have put in place the capability to allow those resources to be able to be effective and efficient when working remotely, where prior to this, the city of Chicago is very much focused on, where you did your job was at the office. And so, kind of turning that on its head and being able to provide capabilities to allow people to work remotely and do that in a secure manner and turn that capability around in a very short order, that was an interesting challenge and something that was, kind of looking back now, and it's funny to say looking back because we're only, a few weeks in, but looking back at putting that together and working as a team across IT to deliver that capability. So it was rewarding in and of itself, but also looking at it from the perspective of that it allowed people to stay home, to shelter in place, to not be exposed to the virus, is incredibly rewarding also. So it's juggling all 3 of those, and it varies on a day-to-day basis as to kind of which role, which hat I spend more time doing.
Thank you so much.
What other questions are out there at this point? Okay, well, I'll jump to the next piece, and as you have questions, please let me know. And I get that I'm at I'm kind of at a different point in my career than you are, and so where when I was in your shoes and starting out, there were so many opportunities out there, just as there are today, and I'm excited that security as a field has grown and developed to the point where there are concentrations in cyber, or even degrees in cyber at various organizations, which just simply wasn't the case 20, 25 years ago. In fact, I think it was 1995 that was when I think Steve Katz was named the first ever CISO, or the person who's widely pointed to as the first CISO. So when you think about security as a discipline, it's something that's very, very new, very, very just nascent from the standpoint of, you think about other disciplines, you think about finance, you think about accounting. Those are things that go back hundreds of years. You think about even IT. IT goes back 50, 75 plus years. And you look at security as a discipline, just very, very young in that discipline. So a lot of what we're doing, we're still building and growing that, and it's exciting to be a part of that and learn and grow with it. So some of the things that I wanted to share with respect to just kind of career is the first one is about being a survivor. And what I mean by that is to be adaptable, be flexible, and be aware of timing. So being aware of timing, that takes looking at the situation you're in, whatever organization you're looking at. You've got your day-to-day role and you're focused in doing that, but it's being able to be that differentiated person that's able to look at the organization and look at how it's doing, how it's performing, and where it's going. Looking at if it's a public organization, looking at its public filings, SEC filings, understanding kind of the shape that it's in, and is that organization, is it continuing to be on the trajectory that is going to deliver the opportunities that you want to have? Is it a company that's growing? Is it a company that is in a stagnant market? Is it a company that is in a shrinking market? And translate that to what it's going to mean for your career opportunities. Doesn't mean you've got to take action on it today, but it just means making sure that you are cognizant of that and you're keeping that in mind as you're making your plans. So if it's an industry that's consolidating or an organization that is shrinking, that very likely is going to have an impact on what your opportunities are. So kind of playing that out 2 or 3 steps ahead and making sure that that you're in a position that is going to be favorable for your career. So if you have to keep an eye on something else or be looking for other things, that you're doing that and looking out for your well-being. Being adaptable and being flexible is looking at what the needs of the organization are and making sure that you are translating what you're doing to align with what those needs are and demands are of the organization, so that you're viewed as a resource that is hitting the nail on the head in terms of what's needed. So that's the first on my list there. The second is a little inflammatory, but I think this is very important. If you're bored, think about getting out. If you're not challenged, if you're not growing, if you're not able to continue to develop skills that are going to help the organization, but also going to help you, then that's another indicator that perhaps that opportunity is where it may have been fantastic for you at one point in time. You may have grown beyond that opportunity. So making sure that you're keeping an eye on that. And I find that when I get bored, when I'm not excited about something, that's an indicator to me that, hey, I need to be figuring out doing something else. That could be within the same organization. It could be within another organization. Could be just taking on additional responsibility. Could be tweaking my role to do something else, or looking for something else within the organization to do. But again, kind of, if you get to the point where you're kind of bored and you're kind of in autopilot, again, that may be fantastic for some people. For some people, that's great. They're just there, collect the check. They have other things in their life that are delivering for them. That's great. We need people with all types of motivation. But I think for a lot of people, at least a lot of people in the security space, people who are more type A-ish personalities, if you start to get bored, that's an indicator to start looking at changing things up a little bit. Tip number 3 is network. And I know people harp on this a lot, but I can't really stress it enough. I think I was going through some of the videos of the folks that you've had over the course of the past 6 to 12 months, and there's a gentleman, I think Andrew Rosema, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, who's from Grand Rapids, did a whole talk on networking. And I can't stress that enough. You're going to have all kinds of folks in your network. You're going to have people who are mentors, who you have even to the point of having formalized conversations, whether that be monthly or quarterly, that you work with them and you shape how you're developing and building your career. And it could, all the way through people that you've met a couple of times, you've worked with, you don't have a close relationship with, but you just don't know when these people are going to come in and out of your orbit. As you move organizations, or as other people move organizations, people that you've worked with before are going, could come back in. I will give the point, in fact, of how I found out about this opportunity was through my network. So, and it was one of those things where a gentleman that I know reached out to me. He's like, you know what? I think you would be great for this. and really kind of kicked me in the butt a little bit to say, you really need to chase after this. This is a good fit for you. This is a good opportunity for you to continue to grow and develop. You need to chase after this. So it's things like that that if you need to have that care and feeding around your network. And it's, like I say, not everybody is, by the definition of a network, not everybody's that person that you have that strong mentoring relationship with. It's a wide variety of relationships, but building that network and nurturing that network and being proactive about it will pay dividends a great deal as you go through your career of being turned on to opportunities. I think in the talk that Mr. Rosenbach gave, he talked about one of his students had a job doing some, I think, red teaming and pen testing at a local organization, and they had another opening come up, and he was like, "Hey, my buddy over here, he'd be great for that," and pulled in, one of his buddies into that. So again, it's that network that's going to help you get through your career. You still have to deliver yourself, but it's that network that's going to help you along. Number 4 is be willing to take what seems like unreasonable chances. They have to be calculated. Not advocating being reckless, but it's being willing to go after something that either part of you feels a little uncomfortable about, or whether that be the position or the organization. Obviously do your homework, but be willing to take a chance on something that feels uncomfortable, because those are the opportunities of growth. If you're looking at something and you feel very comfortable and you're like, yeah, I can nail that, there's probably not a lot of growth opportunity there for you to stretch you either in your technical capabilities or your business acumen or a particular industry. So for example, I started out my career in consulting. So, the consulting opportunity that you get in learning different industries in a short period of time, and how learning those different businesses and how those businesses operate will pay dividends down the road in terms of being able, when an opportunity presents itself and you can say, yes, I've spent time in the communications industry or the oil and gas industry or the pharmaceutical industry. That being able to learn those different types of businesses and the lessons that will pay dividends later in terms of how you can look at a problem and dissect that problem and bring that knowledge to the table is fantastic. And then lastly, ask for help, even when you think you may not need it. So obviously no one person knows everything, and reaching out to teammates, reaching out to people in your network has many, many benefits. It's going to help you refine your message. So you may have the message down in your head of what it is. So it could simply be how you're going to attack a particular test of a system or an application. But it's reaching out and talking with your network, talking with your friends that have those similar skill sets and saying, hey, this is my idea. What do you think? What could I do differently? How could I look at or tackle this differently? Different angle you can take on something, or how you can communicate something different in your report to make sure that you're clearly communicating back to the stakeholders what it is you discovered and recommendations on how to remediate. It helps give you confidence that you're on the right path. I do this a lot of times. I reach out to folks and I ask, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Or here's something that I've drafted. What are your thoughts? And I encourage people to kind of be a little mean about it. Just saying, hey, yeah, it's great job, doesn't add a lot of value. Getting that constructive feedback that sometimes beats it up a little bit is going to improve the work that you do for that deliverable, but also going forward. And it has a benefit as well, that it makes the person that you reached out to feel good that you reached out to them and asked them for their input. People like that. People enjoy being sought out and saying, hey, I had something valuable to add, and they reached out to me. So you're building that relationship with that person as well. So, and it helps make you, it helps grow your leadership skills and makes you a better leader. And people view you in that position and value what you have to say, because the message that you've delivered, whether that's in a document, in an email, in a report, or in a presentation, has been you've gone through that sounding board process, and it's improved that message. So again, my advice is, be a survivor, be adaptable, be flexible, look for opportunities. If you're bored, start thinking about, is that the right situation? Are there things either there that you can change, tweak, add to your responsibilities, different roles that you could take? But you probably should mix something up so that you continue to learn, so you continue to grow. Network. For those of us that are extroverts, the ENTJs, that comes naturally. For those of us on the I side of things, like myself, that doesn't come naturally. It doesn't come naturally to put myself out there and talk with people and get in front of them. But you've got to do it. You've got to get out there and build that network. That's what's going to help strengthen your career. Be willing to take what seems like unreasonable chances. If you feel a little uncomfortable about it, there's growth opportunities there. And then lastly, ask for help, even in opportunities where you don't think that you need it, because it's going to help improve whatever it is you're doing, and it's going to help others. It's going to make somebody else's day. They're going to feel good about, hey, somebody, so and so reached out, thought enough about my opinion to seek it out. So it's got that dual benefit there. So those are the points that I wanted to cover today. I want to open it up again for questions, whether it be anything about what I've covered today, anything from my history, whether it's what I'm doing now at the City of Chicago, Bank of America, Accenture. I certainly want to open it up to all of you. And if there's something that I can share, if there's just one nugget that helps, that you can take out of the presentation today that's helpful, that's a win. So I certainly want to, provide, if you've got some questions that I can help with.
How flexible do you see migration between the public and private sector on more of like a state level as opposed to federal level? I know there's a gap.
Sure, like migrating transitioning your career from one to the other?
Yeah, because I know that's a little bit more difficult if you're working federally as opposed to just general state and city government.
Yeah, I think federal is a bit of a beast of itself, but on the state and local level, I'd say that there's not. I've not noticed any issues migrating between the two. So I came from the private sector, came into the public sector, and I've had folks on my team transition out into the private sector. Whether that be because a particular opportunity interested them, or there was a significant delta in salary that they could achieve. I think those opportunities are out there, and it really, at least like I say, state and local versus into the private sector, back and forth, I think it's pretty fluid. And I think it's really all about the opportunities that you see that are interesting to you, and look at the various levers that you have, whether that be growth into a new role, new skills, or wanting to achieve a particular industry understanding and background, or if you have, hey, if you're passionate about pharmaceutical research. There's the pharma industry versus, and You know, on the state and local side, there are just opportunities everywhere. There's really a lot of opportunity in the security space for state and local governments at all levels. So, you know, I'm fortunate to be in Chicago, third largest city in the country, but, you know, I grew up downstate. I grew up 3 hours south of here in a town of, you know, 25, 30,000 people. And so I also put myself in the shoes of, you know, folks there. My family's still there. And I think about, you know, how their needs are similar and different from the needs of a city like Chicago, but their capability to fulfill those needs is very, very different. And the ability to get people with strong skill sets to some of these, you know, smaller areas is challenging. So the needs everywhere, there's opportunity everywhere. So I think that it's just a question of what you would like to do and where you'd like to go, how you would like to grow your career. I think the opportunities are everywhere. What else can I answer for folks?
Hi, I have another question. So it's about your work with the city of Chicago, and let me know if I'm poking my nose too far into like government matters. But I just want to know how the development cycle works with the city of Chicago, and where exactly does the security team step in to do their work, like say in the integration and deployment, or in the beginning, like training the developers to code securely. I just want to know how things work.
Sure, certainly. Great question. So we have a project management lifecycle that we follow within the Bureau of Information Technology. And we provide services to all the core city departments. So the technology projects that they have, whether it be a solution acquisition or, you know, developing a solution from scratch, or, you know, something in between where you're, you know, configuring a packaged solution. All of that goes through our project management lifecycle. And my security team is integrated into that project management lifecycle at various stages from the beginning all the way through the end, such that so that we are providing input at the right stages where it's needed. So that's how things are designed. That's how we support that. You know, and there are, like I said, there are things that we are also looking to do to grow our capabilities there as well. So we look at that. We look at the development that's happening. We look at how more and more cloud services are being adopted. Excuse me, and reevaluate what are the capabilities that we're bringing to the table, and how do we need to grow and evolve to meet those needs, and what are the things that we can be offering that are going to be consumed to add value to the organization. So it's a continual process of you know, both delivering the services, but also making sure we're bringing the right services to the table.
That was really informative. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else I can share with folks? Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, I thank you very much for the opportunity. Hopefully there's something that I shared today that's of value. I didn't have a slide with my contact information, but it is very simply bruce.coffing@cityofchicago.org. So if there are any questions that I can answer, if there's anything I can do to help, please do feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. And, you know, as you work through your career, or sorry, you're you know, wrapping up your whether it be your undergrad or your graduate work, and you're looking for career opportunities outside of that, please do consider our humble public servants at the state and local level. We are always looking for talented folks that want to give a little back and bring their talents to bear for, in my case, for the city of Chicago. So please do consider state and local when you're thinking about career opportunities. There's a ton of need out there. We need smart people. You know, they can't have enough smart people fighting the good fight. So please consider state and local when you're thinking about your career choices. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Bruce.
Yes, thanks, Bruce. That was great. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.